Hey there, come on in. It is Thursday night, August 28th, the year 2003. Here we are again, another summer shot. This three-day Labor Day weekend coming up is the last hurrah. And like most vacationers, we're going to be camping. And we'll be at Warbler's Cove gathering the last of the summer camping video as we head into a new TV season. I'm Fred Trost.
And I'm Zachary Trost with a show for the next half hour that includes a salmon fishing trip to the sportsman's dreamland. We have a feature on sporting dogs and why they're a best friend outdoors, so stay tuned. We have a half hour of information coming up for the practical sportsman.
Like I said just a minute ago, here we are in a familiar end of the summer situation saying another summer shot. Well, after this weekend, far too many of us are going to be looking back like we always do, saying, next year I'm going to do more. I'm going to fish more. I'm going to camp more. I'm not going to let time slip away like it did this year. Well, I don't really get in a big crank to change my life on January 1st, but I do get in that crank when September rolls around, because what I've missed is fresh in my mind. Now, I don't really apologize for working as much as I have this year, because it's been necessary. Making ends meet with a public TV show in 2003 is more difficult than it's ever been. Now, some people would say that trying to keep a show going nowadays is a foolish risk business-wise. Well, sure, it's a risk, but I don't think it's foolish. The outdoors can be a very important part of life, not just to men who hunt and fish, but to families and to kids. Now, speaking of valuable experiences and regrets and lost opportunities, I had a chance about 15 years ago to go to Alaska and fish. Oh, it was phenomenal because it was in Alaska. That's the most impressive, most exciting, most interesting place I've ever been. And I said at the end of that trip, like I do every summer in September, I'm going to be back. I'm going to do this more. And here I am 13 years later, and I've never gone back to Alaska. I want to, but it just hasn't been in the cards. Well, the moral of the story is what we intend to do and what we end up doing are often two different things. So take that dream trip whenever you can. I'm glad I did, and here's the reason why. Gary Poganey's Cessna swings low over the waters of Lake Clark and Lake Iliamna to the west. This is the Bristol Bay region of Alaska, famous for its salmon runs. There's no way to drive to this country, or in this country for that matter. It's remote, 150 miles west of Anchorage over a major mountain range. Everybody up here, it seems, has a pilot's license. That's how you get around. And that's how we went from fishing hole to fishing hole, sometimes several in the same day. Gary looks for fish in the rivers and sets the pontoon down within 100 yards of migrating salmon. As I cast out into the rocky riverbed, I can see thousands of sockeyes streaming by. There we go! Oh, through the fly. Hey, that was quite a performance, though. This is great. Quite a performance. But look at this rig that I'm using right here. Very simple. It's this fairly heavy line, probably 12, 14-pound test, with a couple split shot sinkers, foot and a half up, and just a black salmon fly. I don't know what it looks like to them. They don't seem to really be feeding, but that's all there is to the rig. Cast it out upstream, just a whole quartering upstream, right past the school. The school seems to be swimming by about 25, 30 feet offshore here. They migrate in a column, a rather tight, narrow group. From where we are, the line of salmon extends for miles and miles, both directions.
Good fly out there, Bob. Yeah, really close, too.
One of our guides, Bill, tries to tail a sockeye, which isn't easy. These fish are energetic.
This is a kick.
This is something. It's not like there's no fish to choose from here. Now, you'd think that fish is tired, wouldn't you? No, not by a long shot.
We're fishing mid-July in the continental United States. It's hot, but in Alaska, it's a comfortable 60 degrees. The water's cold, and the fish never seem to give up. We haven't had our lines in the water for 5 minutes yet, and the action is non-stop. Now, we did hit lulls later on. 4 or 5 minutes without a fish. That's what they call a lull in Alaska. Now, this fish may not have been ready to quit, but I was ready, so I made my move.
Fish number 2 for about 5 minutes of fishing.
After an hour of this, Gary said, "Let's go. We're going to check out some new spots." And here's a river outlet into Lake Iliamna. Those dark patches? That's right. Those are salmon. Lots of salmon. Lots and lots of salmon. The main school must have had tens of thousands of migrating sockeyes, all staying relatively close to shore near the river outlet. When we landed and cast towards the school, we'd watch the frisky ones porpoise. They're not feeding now, but they will hit lures and flies.
Oh, my.
Fishing was so easy here, I did it sitting down.
I suppose this is how I get the reputation that all I do is just hunt and fish every day. Look at the fish jumping out there. This fish is frankly a real pleasure to catch. Oh, great. Well, it might be ready to beach. You're gonna have to excuse me, folks. I'm gonna have to get up now. Okay. Oh my!
8-pounder.
I tell you, when they're hooked in the mouth, right in that tough stuff. There we go.
Most of these fish were silvery or light pink, even though they were many miles from the ocean.
Sockeye salmon.
Sockeyes are the most commercially valuable of the Pacific salmon, a high oil content, tasty on the grill, red meat. At maturity, they average 5 to 7 pounds. The world record is a little over 15. Now, they never seem to give up the fight. I hand this one to Gary Pogany. It'll be filleted and frozen in a few hours. Also looking for salmon was this grizzly bear across the river mouth. About 5 minutes earlier, there were a half dozen anglers standing where this grizzly is walking. You're going to hear their plane taking off in a minute when I'm landing a nice rainbow trout. We were a little concerned about that bear. If it started across the river, hey, we'd run. But until then, I was determined to finish the battle with a rainbow trout that Gary Pogany had hooked. He wanted to give me the chance to land it. There's no doubt where the rainbow trout got its name.
Oh, man. There we go. Oh, boy. That's as pretty as they come.
In Manitoba, we used barbless hooks successfully on walleye and northern pike, but I'm not sure how they'd stay in these thrashing and jumping trout and salmon. I think the barb helps keep these fish hooked, but it sometimes creates a problem in releasing them. And in this part of Alaska, all rainbows must go back.
There we go. There we go. Oh!
Beautiful, or is that beautiful?
That's as pretty as a fish is made, I'll tell you.
We caught a few of these prized rainbows, and we caught all the salmon we could handle. At Osprey Lodge, Gary and the guides would fillet these fish as soon as we got back. They'd be frozen in hours and on the grill soon after we got home. We only fished for sockeye like this one day in Alaska. If you can believe it, there were other fish to catch other places, and we spent 4 more days doing it. John Ford's video is always awesome, but you know, that video didn't scratch the surface of showing the beauty in Alaska. The mountains, the sky, the vegetation, the water, the wildlife, just unbelievable. Now, I wished I could go back, and I will someday, I hope, but it's better to have experienced a trip like that than never to have gone at all. Trips come and go, but memories do last forever. Some people say they're going to go salmon fishing sometime in Michigan, and now's the time, by the way, but they never go, but they should. Besides gathering some fish for the table, you'll have a fish tail that will probably get bigger as the years go by. Big Mike Lee from Hastings.
Thank you.
Got a big king salmon from Lake Michigan off Manistee. 27 and a half pounds?
Close enough. 27.4.
It says 27.6 here.
Well, somebody's incorrect.
Oh, man. These people tonight are sticklers on the weight.
Close enough. Close enough.
I guess. I mean,
I don't want
actually,
you to accuse me of exaggerating.
look, you rounded off to 30 pounds.
Fishermen won't steal, but they will lie.
Well, that's true. That's true. So what's the scoop on this?
Just a team effort in August. As anybody who fishes for salmon knows, everybody in the boat's got to contribute. So we had a good driver, we had a good netter, and I happened to be the lucky guy that grabbed the rod. I've been accused of knocking a few guys out of the way to get it, but that's not true.
Now, the guys you fish with, are they as big as you?
No. No, they're not.
I see. So you wouldn't notice if you knocked them out of the way anyhow.
I do the work on the downriggers, and if I just happen to be there, I get the rod.
I see. There's a method there. You're watching those downriggers, and you're always the closest to the rod.
You do the work, you notice the release, you get the fish.
It's a team effort, though.
It is a team effort.
Yes, it is. Michael Lee from Hastings, congratulations. You got that team thing figured out. You'll hear people talking about the camaraderie in hunting and fishing. There's a way that you can build fellowship into all of your activities and have a helper for hunting and a listening ear for anything that you want to talk about. This camaraderie comes in a small package and it grows. Here's how. Hunting with good friends makes a perfect day, especially a friend that will jump out of the boat when you're duck hunting and retrieve your ducks.
Yep. Good dog. Jackie, good dog.
It's man's best friend in the rain or by the fire, in the yard and in the field. A good hunting dog has no match. Most hunting breeds instinctively hunt and point or retrieve, but rarely will a hunting dog of any kind become a polished bird dog on its own. Behind every good bird dog's performance is usually hours and hours of patient training before the season. At our outdoor fair in June at Houghton Lake, training bird dogs was a major attraction.
Misty Mark.
Cindy Malski sends a young Labrador Retriever on a rudimentary exercise of fetching a dummy on command. This young pup is excited. You can see the playful attitude, but retrieving comes naturally to Labradors. What doesn't come naturally is bringing the dummy back to the handler, sitting down, and giving the bird to the handler. This skill is just obedience training. But we want to combine the natural instincts and love of running and hunting and retrieving with some basic learned behaviors that give the hunter control of the dog. Then both the hunter and the dog have a much happier time in the field. The goal with an advanced retriever is to take even another step. Teach it to follow hand signals. This is Sharon Fowler of Sunflight Kennels. Now she wants him to come closer.
Over.
At times, this discipline overrides the dog's instincts, but it gives the handler better control when several ducks need to be retrieved. It doesn't take long hours, just frequent time every day working with a retriever to develop this kind of teamwork. Pointing dogs require training too, not to hunt, because they're usually full of that instinct. They range and scent game according to the abilities God gave them, and most pointers freeze instinctively when they come upon the strong scent of a game bird close by. But how long will they hold point? Are they staunch? Are they stylish? Will they break point if the bird flushes? Okay. Many hunters own good working dogs that get the job done, and they'll retrieve. Field trial obedience isn't required. But as the crowd saw at the outdoor fair, even English pointers can be refined. Experienced trainer Jerry Dealey works with his dogs to develop their style. He actually works with them on point. Can you believe that his dogs will let him move them and still hold point the whole time? Jerry trains his dogs to hold point and to be stylish when they're on point by working with them when they're very young in a novel way. He stands them on a board, clips their collar to a wire. This holds their head up. He handles the dogs a lot, talks to them, gives them a lot of praise, but physically moves them and holds them in the positions he wants when they're on point. The dogs enjoy it. All dogs like attention, and they like to please their owners. You'd be surprised how much an intelligent and cooperative dog can learn from a handler. Jerry Dealey teaches his dogs style and grace that set them apart from the rest. But not every hunter wants such a polished dog. Dan McClellan owns a brace of Weimaraners, which aren't trained quite as extensively, but get along great with the family. Why Weimaraners?
Weimaraner. It's a continental breed that was brought over from Germany in the early 1900s. That was basically a big game hunting animal. They hunted stag for them, wild boar, and they were converted into bird dogs. And they hunt close, they point, they retrieve. They're good, versatile hunting dogs for the on-foot hunter.
But I know there's a problem with the show dogs versus the field dogs. You know, the show dogs are kind of funny in temperament and ability.
Yeah, well, in a lot of the continental breeds, what we see is a splitting of the breed. We see the show people that are breeding for conformation, and I don't knock them at all because they're trying to improve the breed, and I think they do a heck of a job. But what field trial people and hunting people have to keep in mind is there's two things to breed for, and that's pointing instinct and desire for the dog to find birds. And you need to breed the best to the best in pointing and desire in order to get the best. And in Weimaraners, we have several lines in this country that are excellent bird dog, shooting dog lines, and then you have the others.
Why aren't they more popular, though? They can be if they're bred right, so why aren't they more of them bred right?
Well, I think that you have a couple other breeds, the German Shorthairs, the Brittany's, the English Setters, the English Pointers, that when a lot of people get started into hunting, into field trialing, they look to more popular breeds. But my own experience is I have seen some Weimaraners do some real nice retrieving work, real nice bird work, real nice pointing work, and they're a dog that you can live with in your home, that it's good with the children. They're very protective. They're very biddable. For the all-around dog, I don't think you can beat them. They're not the best pointing dog, they're not the best retrieving dog, but all in all, as a versatile hunting dog and a pet and a member of the family and companion, they're excellent.
I get the feeling that whatever breed Dan owned, he'd love them. And that's the way it is with hunting dogs. We like to look at them. We like to hunt with them. They're the best buddy a hunter could have.
Good boy. Good boy.
One thing that I'm going to do is demonstrate how you can take a battery and some steel wool to make a fire. There are some tricks to it, but believe me, it works. Don't let this summer slip away by not taking advantage of this Labor Day weekend. Get outdoors if you can. Take a kid fishing, camping, hiking, or whatever, and we'll see you right back here next week.